Mansfield today on a Tuesday. You got to check that one. And that means it's time for our legal offering. And as usual, Advocate Lance Brogden joins us. Advocate, very nice to have you with us once again. We're looking at police issues today, I believe.
Indeed, Jim. I think this has come out of a few of the previous shows we've done where people are asking in various instances, what are my rights and duties as an individual, and what are the real rights and duties of a police officer? And this is why it's really important, because you want clarity on this. You want to know what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say, but very importantly as well as, I think guys share this as well. Thank you for sharing last week's stuff. It was very successful. We're going into a period now towards the end of the year, and I think you need to know what you can and can't do and can and can't say, and what the limits are for the police.
Okay, well, let's start with a situation where, let's say a law enforcement officer wants to search your house. What now?
Right, so in terms of the Constitution, and especially in terms of sections 10 and 14 of the Constitution, it makes it very clear that you have a right to dignity, privacy and protection. So when somebody wants to search your home, so here's the basic outline. One, they have to have a warrant. Okay, so the law enforcement officer needs a warrant. Two, without that, it means they may not inspect your home, your person, your possessions, but very importantly, your communications. So all your data and communications may not be inspected. However, herein lies the challenge. The Criminal Act, the Criminal Procedure Act, allows for a law enforcement officer to actually come in, Jim, and they can actually do stuff under the following circumstances. One, if they feel there is an asset or a piece of evidence that's very important to a crime matter underway, and that they need that piece of evidence, they can do that without the warrant. Or two, if they feel there's not enough time to get the warrant, but they really, really need to get it urgently. And three is if they feel that they would have got a warrant from the appropriate court and the magistrate or judge to do so, but they don't have the time to do it. So that's the offset and makes it a bit difficult. They do have a little bit of discretion.
Okay. But I mean, followers of this program, I think, would want to know more about things like being stopped in roadblocks, for example. What's the story there?
Right, so we've done roadblocks before, but we didn't do it in the sense that we talk about all the rights. Of the...
Yeah.
So this is why this question came up again, Jim. So let's focus on that. One, the rights of the officer is to stop you, ask for your name, ID number, identify you. They're allowed to see if your car is roadworthy. They are allowed to, and I've done this in the past, very specific circumstances, are allowed to check your car. Once again, if they feel there's been a crime taking place or about to take place, if there's evidence on hand. If they feel you're inebriated, they may do a breathalyzer. So they have those rights. But going back to the important thing, your rights and your dignity. Very importantly, they have to tell you why they're stopping you, what they want to do with you. Then take a step further. What are your rights? Your rights, you're allowed to ask the officer for his certificate, allowing him to do the job if you want to. And I've told you in the past, guys, be careful of how you push that button, okay? But you are allowed to. Secondly, you're allowed to ask exactly why you're being stopped. If for whatever reason you are arrested, and I pray not so, you have to be brought in front of a court within 48 working hours. You have the right to remain silent. That's not just American TV show. And you have a right not to be at all forced into making a confession of any sort. So my answer is shut the hell up, okay? Follow the procedure, but you have all those rights. And you also have a right to take a video or pictures at the scene. You also have a right to take a picture of the police car that is in there, because that will also tell you on the side there's certain coding which police station it comes from, or police jurisdiction, and also the number, etc., etc. You have those rights. Please, I ask again, do it with trepidation and do it carefully.
What about if you're in a, I'm just trying to create scenarios here, Lawrence, and try to catch you out. So you're in, let's say, a public place.
Right.
And you're stopped by a law enforcement officer. I mean, what then?
Okay, so once again, there's a basic thing of your privacy and integrity, and on the same grounds mentioned earlier on, the traffic officer or the or the official, the policing official, may have good reason to think that stopping you would help prevent a crime, or is part of a crime, or you have an asset, or you're behaving in a certain way. Very importantly, okay, if a search takes place and happens to you, only a woman can search a woman and a man a man. Do you remember that time we went overseas, that trip we did, and at the airport when you went through and you said, no, I want her to check me out and please feel me all over and check me out. And eventually, well, what did the guy say? He said, sorry, sir, that's actually not one of the officials working here. That's one of the other passengers, and she's rather skintily dressed. Don't think it's a good idea. Yeah.
Well,
you asked for her to check you.
Yeah, exactly. Surely I'm entitled to ask.
Indeed. No, but on a serious note, guys, so that's also under similar circumstances, but there are a whole lot of rights and privacies. I've mentioned a couple of them, but very importantly, you have a right to ask why you're being interrogated or stopped, and they have a duty to tell you. It can't just be without any cause whatsoever. So it's pretty much the similar thing, yeah.
Do you have any advice to know that we've been pushing the boundaries of the law when we're confronted by a law enforcement officer?
If you feel you've had, for example, a drink or two, I'm not saying that you're completely pissed, falling all over, and you feel this is on the edge, I do some advice. Firstly, the police have a very strict code of ethics. I pray they follow it. And the code of ethics is, once again, protecting you, serving you, looking after your interests. But let me put it this way. When you're on that point, my advice is as follows. Guys, the less said, the better. Everything you say, you've said, and it's out there. Don't become bolshy. We've had this chat before. Don't threaten. Because if you threaten, defame, or are rude to a traffic official or a police officer or any officer of the law, they have a right to arrest you. You may not abuse them at all. So my advice is take that out of the model. Listen carefully. If you have done something wrong, jaywalking, cross the road through a red light, admit to it. Just get on with it. There's no place for being tough and hard, especially if you're a blue bull and you've got a pair of bull's testicles hanging at the back of your car. It doesn't go around to behave like that in front of the traffic officers.
Okay. Here's a final question to really put you on the spot. What frightens you the most about law enforcement in South Africa?
Okay, this is personal and this is not legal advice, but my concern goes back to training and efficiency. The law enforcement officers of this country do have codes of ethics, and I like to believe the vast majority want to serve and protect. But as with two other great professions, teaching and nursing, I think the people are extremely underpaid. And with that comes the challenges that I don't have to explain to your intelligent people. So they are compromised in terms of their income, their ability to earn, and sometimes they might, and you've all experienced it, lean a bit on getting in secondary income. So that does worry. The second thing that worries me is training. How well are they trained? Are they up to speed? Are they physically healthy enough to take on the challenges of a crime scene at full speed? Do they go for regular weapons training? Do they go for physical training? Do they do their regular medicals? I question all of that. And that's where my concern lies, is that we have an underpaid and potentially even an understaffed law enforcement cadre in our country, with perhaps not the training we would want for people to serve, protect, and look after the integrity in this country of law enforcement overall.
Lance, thanks very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Nice to see you again, and because he bust me this week, wait for next week, where I will tell you the story about going through a check with this man. Yeah, you think me asking a flimsily dressed another passenger to do the search on me? Wait till you find out what he did. That's coming up next week, same time, same place. Until then, cheers.